Imagine for a moment that you're a high school student again. It's 2019, and most of your friends and teachers are telling you that the use of the internet and technology is skyrocketing, a trend which you have noticed before they mentioned it. You're told that your ability to effectively use these tools is essential to not only your success in high school and college, but in life and a career as well. Your school believes, in order to prepare you for this future, you need practice using computer-based learning, research, and presentation methods. There is, however, a rather significant problem. You don't have access to a computer at home. Sure, your family may own a computer, but between your parents needing it for personal, financial, and business reasons, and any siblings you may have needing it for their schoolwork, the amount of time you actually have access to that computer is not significant enough to be helpful. So, what do? And more importantly, when simply accessing the technological tools required in order to complete your schoolwork becomes a struggle, how will that affect your grades? My research was centered around discovering what effect a lack of internet access has on high school students graduating within the United States between the years of 1989 and 2019. It is important that we understand the impact a lack of internet access has on a student's performance, because it can, if significant enough, prompt policymakers both locally and at the federal level, as well as private citizens and corporations, to take action to narrow the digital divide. It has been made both quantitatively and qualitatively apparent that a lack of internet access negatively affects students within the United States.
There are many different terms and phrases that have been used in discussions and articles surrounding the lack of internet and technology access by some students vice others. Before we delve further into the consequences felt by those students who are not able to access the internet, we must standardize and define the terms used in this presentation. Let's begin with the term access to the internet, or internet access. In this presentation, both of these terms will be used to denote access to any type of information and communication technology, ICT. Information and communication technology has been further defined by the website techterms.com to mean technologies that provide access to information via telecommunications media, such as the internet, wireless networks, computers, and computing devices such as smartphones. Additionally, we will use the terms digital divide and technology access gap interchangeably in reference to the ability of some students to gain access to the internet vice others. First, it is important to realize that students aren't just restricted from using the internet at home, but at school and the library as well. Many schools have the ability to provide the digital access required by students, yet those resources sit idle because of over-restrictive terms of use policies. It may be easy at first to dismiss the restrictive school policies as a small issue by mentioning the availability of other computers at after-school programs and public libraries. On closer inspection, though, even accessing those devices can be extremely difficult. For example, when investigating the effects of a widening digital divide in Philadelphia, Professors Donna Solano and Susan Newman found that in one community where there were 7,700 school-aged children, there were only 128 computers available through after-school programs. Further investigation by Professors Solano and Newman found that at one library, some wait times for a 30-minute computer slot could be as long as 3 hours, which was hardly enough time for the student they were interviewing to complete her assignment due to her lack of typing ability. Second, we must consider the inability of students, specifically low-income students, to access the internet at home. According to a report prepared for the ACT Center of Equity and Learning, 14% of students surveyed had access to only one internet communications technology device at home. Furthermore, the report determined that only having access to one ICT device greatly impacts a student's ability to perform, because they may be forced to share use of that device with other family members, or, in a worst-case scenario, any failure of that device would leave the student without any access to the internet at home. Another report, published earlier by Princeton University, found that only 22% of children living in low-income homes specifically had access to the internet at all while at home. Conversely, 91% of students living in homes with an annual income of greater than $75,000 had access to the internet. Finally, I would like to clarify what has been alluded to in my previous 2 points. Lack of internet access at home, at school, or a combination of both is negatively impacting the grades of students. In his research paper, documenting a case study of a STEM-specific high school in Chicago, Brian Sershan and Douglas Stevens state that positive effects in student achievement were shown in all major subject areas for those being educated in technology-rich environments. Additionally, in a dissertation study conducted by PhD applicant Nicole S. Clifton of Howard University, it was discovered that African American students' access and usage were substantially and significantly related to academic performance. The inverse must then be true, that students who do not live in technology-rich environments must be lagging behind their better connected peers. A lack of access to the internet negatively impacts the grades of students in the U.S. Let's go back again to our original hypothetical scenario. You are a high school student with little to no access to the internet. What effect will this have on your education? According to Beverly Perdue and William Hansen, the only metric we should use to evaluate the role of technology in public education is the success of our students. Low-income high school students who graduate within the U.S. are less likely to have access to technology when compared to their higher-income peers, and as a result, their grades will suffer.
In closing, and as part of the requirements for this presentation, I would like to reflect briefly on the research process as it pertains to this class and this assignment. I had read, as part of an earlier assignment, that the research process could be circular, redundant, or iterative, as Scott Lanning put it in his textbook, Concise Guide to Information Literacy. And I couldn't agree more. I frequently had to redo internet and database searches, revise search statements or criteria, and even revise my research question while conducting the actual research. Additionally, I've revisited or revised my script for this presentation, revisited or revised my citations, and even recorded multiple videos and audio recordings during the production of this final presentation. Ultimately, I believe I've performed every segment of the research process at least twice, and as a result, have gained a new appreciation for how tiring, messy, and expansive the conduction and presentation of research can be.